Chile, a landslide leaves a luxury condo to collapse.
Authorities say residents left the building in a hurry last night. More details on this later in the news. Good evening, I am Gianna Llanes.
I am Nina Richie Alagao-Flores. This is Mata ng Agila International. Now for the headlines. The Marcos administration vows to stabilize the Philippines' rice supply through new technology. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. to attend the 10th Asian Summit in Singapore. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un visits Moscow for a possible arms deal. Rescuers save a U.S. explorer after being trapped in a Turkish cave for 9 days. And let's meet Gila's Pilipinas 12-man roster for the 2023 Asian Games in China. An economic research firm forecasts that the country's unemployment rate could rise next year. Madeline Villar-Moratillo for the figures.
Pantheon Macroeconomics projects that the Philippine unemployment rate could soar to 5.4% by 2024. This marks the end of a labor market recovery from the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. The research firm notes that the labor demand in the country was losing its momentum. The jobless rate this year, however, will remain at an improved figure from its year-on-year figure from 2022. Last week, the Philippine Statistics Authority or PSA reported that the Philippine unemployment rate rose to 4.8% in July from 4.5% in June. Madeline Villar-Moratillo reporting for Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
The Department of Health or DOH records that 94.6% of adult Filipinos have received the COVID-19 vaccine. The survey was conducted via SMS and mobile web early this year with 2,326 respondents aged 18 and above. The Health Department adds that 77.2% of all adult Filipinos have received a booster shot. Meanwhile, fellow Octa researcher Dr. Guido David reports that there are 116 new COVID cases with 139 recoveries as of September 11.
The Sugar Regulatory Administration has reported a potential decrease in sugar production in the Philippines for the upcoming crop year due to the anticipated threat of the El Niño phenomenon. Total raw sugar production for the crop year 2023 to 2024 is estimated to drop by 10 to 15%, depending on the severity of dry spells and drought. Nevertheless, the agency is optimistic about implementing strategies to stabilize sugar supply and prices in the country.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., who also serves as the Secretary of Agriculture, emphasizes the importance of utilizing new technology to ensure a stable supply of rice in the Philippines. The President commends the Mariano Marcos State University's Philippine Rice Research Institute for their rice paddy art, which pays tribute to individuals who have made significant contributions to agricultural development in the country. During his speech at the event, he mentions that it is the government's responsibility to introduce the technology to the market in a manner that benefits the farmers and ensures affordability for consumers. President Marcos also stresses the need to increase rice production in order to stabilize the volatile price of rice in the Philippines.
PHIVOLCS Director Teresito Bacolco stated that the country is now more prepared than it was 20 years ago. This is after the devastating magnitude 6.8 earthquake in Morocco, which killed more than thousands of people. FIVOX says the Philippines appears to be more prepared for the big one if it hits the nation. This is because the periodical earthquake drills initiated by the local and national governments, which immensely help raise awareness and disaster preparedness. Bacolcol emphasizes the importance of compliance to building code among the rise of large structures. Furthermore, the chief advises the public to gear up, have emergency kits available, and stock up on ample food supplies. Various local government units or LGUs in Metro Manila were praised for taking active steps and encouraging residents near the West Valley Fault to relocate. FIVOX studies reveal that the biggest casualties would come from QC in Manila if a 7.2 magnitude earthquake strikes. It could potentially kill 6,000 people from QC alone, and more than 24,000 could be severely injured. FIVOX added that massive damage would be felt particularly in the 2nd District of Quezon City and some parts of Matandang Balara in the Philippines in case of a big quake.
The Marcos administration is offering to assist and support Morocco to rebuild and recover from the devastating 6.8 magnitude earthquake that killed more than 2,000 people on the 8th of September. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. extends his sympathy to the people of Morocco and reiterates that the Philippines is ready to provide aid to assist in their country's recovery. Morocco has reported an increase of the death toll to more than 2,800 people dead and about 2,500 injured as of today. Philippine Ambassador to Morocco, Leslie Baha, has also announced that no Filipinos have been affected by the earthquake.
Philippine and U.S. high-ranking officials are scheduled to visit 3 Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement or EDCA sites in Luzon on the 13th of September. AFP Chief General Romeo Bronner Jr. alongside U.S. Ambassador to Manila Mary Kay Carlson and U.S. Indo-Pacific Command Chief Admiral John Aquilino will be touring the sites in Lalo Airport in Cagayan as well as the Naval Base Camilo Ocias. They will also be visiting the Basa Air Base in Pampanga. This serves as a prelude to the upcoming Mutual Defense Board and Security Engagement Board meeting, underscoring the ongoing commitment to partnership and cooperation between the two nations.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. is set to depart for Singapore on the 13th of September for the 10th Asian Conference. He will be the first sitting Philippine leader to address the summit, discussing his administration's efforts to improve the country's challenges. The Asian Conference will be prioritizing issues on peace and stability and irreparable environmental damage, among others. President Marcos will also be meeting other business executives to discuss potential partnerships and investments to the Philippines. Coming up, Kim Jong-un arrives in Russia to meet Vladimir Putin. Thousands flock to Barcelona's town center to celebrate the National Day of Catalonia. And people in Marrakesh are keeping their hopes up. Stay tuned for more stories around the globe when we return.
Ako si Pat Pidaza, kwento sa akin ni Alex Santos ng Responde, si Lola Inday na mahilig magluto. At dahil kami ay malaki ang aming puso, bibigyan namin siya ng pangluto.
Responde at Lutong Daza.
Open! Ayan!
Wow!
Magkatuwang na rumisponde sa maglola na nangangailangan ng kabuhayan. Ang kanilang natatanging kwento ng katatagan, pagmamalasakit at pag-ibig sa isa't isa, abangan!
Salamat talaga ako. May matatulong sa amin.
O LJ, anong sabihin mo kay lola mo?
Love you.
Sabado, alas 6 hanggang alas 7 ng gabi. Ito ang Responde, Mata ng Mamamayan.
Welcome back to Mata ng Agila International. North Korea marked its founding anniversary with a parade attended by Kim Jong-un alongside Russian diplomats and high-ranking Chinese delegation. The event featured Pyongyang's paramilitary forces rather than the regular North Korean army. Also evidently absent was all of the advanced military technology North Korea is said to have developed. Images in state media showed uniformed paramilitary brigades, including some riding tractors or in large red trucks. Kim met with a visiting Chinese delegation led by Lu Guzhong, Vice Premier of the State Council, the second such visit by top officials from Beijing, as Pyongyang showed signs of easing its strict COVID-era border controls. The two sides announced their aims of further intensifying the multifaceted coordination and cooperation between the two countries. Russian President Vladimir Putin sent Kim a message marking the anniversary, calling for the two countries to expand their bilateral ties in all respects.
North Korea's Kim Jong-un has arrived in Russia to meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin, but details of their meeting are still unknown. The West speculates that Kim will be seeking Russian economic aid and military technology in exchange for munitions to be used in the Ukraine conflict. But Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov has yet to provide any details, only announcing that the two leaders will meet after the Vladivostok Economic Forum and that they will have lunch in Kim's honor. This is the first foreign trip of North Korea's Kim since the COVID-19 pandemic, allegedly accompanied by Foreign Minister Cho Sun-hui and his top two military officials, Marshals Ri Byung-chul and Park Jong-chun.
Russian President Vladimir Putin has put out the welcome mat for North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Kim traveled to Russia aboard a special train. Ken Cruz has more.
It's been 4 years since the last time Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un met. The Kremlin has released few details about the meeting, but it's believed it will take place in the far eastern Russian city of Vladivostok and may focus on an arms deal. U.S. State Department spokesman Matthew Miller says an arms deal could trigger consequences.
I will remind both countries that any transfer of arms from North Korea to Russia would be in violation of multiple United Nations Security Council resolutions. And we, of course, have aggressively enforced our sanctions against entities that fund Russia's war effort, and we will continue to enforce those sanctions and will not hesitate to impose new sanctions if appropriate.
Ken Cruz from Mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Nicolas Maduro broadcast his television program from a mountain province in the Chinese province of Shandong ahead of his meeting with President Xi Jinping. The visit is a reaffirmation of the friendship that was strengthened in the era of the late former President Hugo Chavez.
Vamos saliendo en un tren rumbo a la capital china, a Beijing, al encuentro con el futuro, al encuentro con nuestro hermano presidente Xi Jinping, a llegar a grandes acuerdos que eleven aún más una relación histórica refundada por nuestro comandante Hugo Chávez.
On his 11th visit to China, the president was received by the mayor of a district in the city of Shenzhen with a show with more than 1,000 drones. Maduro carried out his program from the mountain of Taishan, a famous tourist destination in China to which he says he is a regular visitor. China loaned about $50 billion to OPEC member Venezuela in the 2010s, with Caracas repaying the debt with shipments of oil. China has also provided extensive technological assistance to Venezuela as it expands control over its population.
The United States has kicked off the third part of its Navy drills dubbed Sea Breeze 2023 in Romania. This is to enhance interoperability and increase the level of training among participating forces. Sea Breeze 2023 focuses on mine countermeasures and dive operation mission areas to promote a safe and secure maritime environment. The U.S. Marine notes that participating nations include Bulgaria, France, Romania, Turkey, Ukraine, and the United Kingdom. The maritime drills aim to enhance the capabilities of the Black Sea and prepare the Ukrainian Maritime Command staff. The lead exercise is scheduled to run from September 11 to September 15, 2023.
Armenia has kicked off its Eagle partner exercises with the United States. The drills involve stabilization activities between conflicts during peacekeeping missions. According to the U.S. Army Europe and Africa Command, about 85 soldiers will train with 175 Armenian troops. The exercises aim to increase the level of interoperability of the unit participating in international peacekeeping missions. Eagle partner drills are set to run from September 11 to September 20, 2023.
Former Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro has been checked into a hospital to undergo surgeries. He arrived Monday at a private hospital in Sao Paulo where protesters greeted him. Rose Papaangelos tells us more.
Demonstrators outside of this hospital waved banners that read, "Your place is in prison. Your time has come." Others chanted slogans calling him a coward and saying he should take responsibility for his crimes. 68-year-old Jair Bolsonaro had been scheduled for 2 procedures stemming from a stabbing attack 5 years ago that nearly claimed his life. Since then, the former Brazilian president has had numerous health problems. He has undergone 4 previous surgeries. A court ruled his attacker mentally unfit to stand trial. Dubbed by critics as the tropical Trump, Bolsonaro lost a re-election bid last year. He is under investigation for corruption and abuse of office. Rose Papaangelos for Matanang Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Thousands of Catalan independent supporters took to the streets of central Barcelona in a march to mark the National Day of Catalonia, as separatist parties take center stage in efforts to form a national government. Marchers carried red, yellow, and blue Estelada flags and chanted slogans demanding Catalonia's secession from Spain in Plaza de España Square to hear speeches from leaders of the pro-independence movement. Attendance has waned in recent years as the police counted the turnout to be above 100,000 compared to the 800,000 declared by the organizers. The 2 main Catalan parties are now in the middle of negotiations with acting Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez and his allies on forming a new Spanish government, and hope that talks may boost the flagging independence caused ahead of regional elections in 2025. To form a government following an inconclusive election, Pedro Sanchez would need the 7 lawmakers of the conservative Juntos party and the 7 votes from the more moderate Esquerra Republicana de Catalunya, or ERC. Junts leader Carlos Puigdemont, who lives in self-imposed exile in Belgium as he is wanted in Spain for spearheading a failed secession bid in 2017, last week insisted on an amnesty for pro-independence leaders as a condition for talks.
In related news, exiled Catalan leader Carles Puigdemont has asked for amnesty and an end to all legal proceedings against Catalan separatists in exchange for his support to back a new left-wing coalition government led by Pedro Sánchez.
Això és a l'abast del Parlament espanyol a través d'una llei d'amnistia que inclogui l'ampli espectre de la repressió iniciada des d'abans de la consulta del 9 de novembre del 2014, però també és responsabilitat del govern en funcions, a través de la Fiscalia i a través de l'advocacia de l'Estat. I s'ha de fer per reparar una injustícia, no pas per oblidar, ni per posar un punt final a res, ni per descomptat per igualar les víctimes d'aquestes injustícies als seus victimaris.
Puigdemont said the positive vote of his party was conditional on the recognition and respect for the legitimacy of the Catalan independentist movement. The leader said that if there is political will to meet his conditions, his party will work towards a historic commitment to resolve the conflict in the next parliamentary term. Juntos currently holds 7 seats in the lower house of the Spanish parliament, a small but crucial number in order to reach a majority of 176 endorsements. Failure to reach a deal could trigger fresh elections in January next year. Sanchez's coalition partner and Deputy Prime Minister of his caretaker government, Yolanda Diaz, traveled to Brussels to meet Puigdemont.
Pas a la dreta. Estem parlant que si hi ha acord, aquest ha de ser un acord històric. Un compromís històric. Un compromís com el que cap règim ni govern espanyol no ha estat capaç de fer realitat, malgrat alguns intents.
The exiled leader had previously suggested he would ask for a second referendum on Catalan independence as a requisite for his support, but made no such demands. Spain's caretaker government said they would consider Puigdemont's offer and left the door open to possible negotiations as long as they unfold within the legal framework of the Spanish Constitution.
Segona d'aquestes condicions que tinc a bé d'esmentar. L'abandonament complet i efectiu de la via judicial contra l'independentisme i els independentistes. L'1 d'octubre no va ser un delicte, com tampoc no ho va ser la declaració d'independència, ni les protestes massives contra la repressió i la sentència del Tribunal Suprem.
Thousands of protesters have taken to the streets in Ceuta, chanting anti-government slogans and tearing down a portrait of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. This is the latest protest after the government removed fuel subsidies, which has intensified the already widespread economic hardship in the country. Protesters are saying that the number of their supporters are increasing, but the demonstrations have yet to spread to other regions. As of now, al-Assad's government has yet to take any actions against the protest.
Zimbabwe's President Emerson Mnangagwa is facing accusations of nepotism after appointing his son as Deputy Finance Minister following his re-election last month. Mnangagwa has also appointed his nephew as the Deputy Tourism Minister. Citizens Coalition for Change, which is the main opposition party to Mnangagwa's ZANU-PF, condemns the appointments as stoking nepotism and corruption. Mnangagwa has yet to comment on the accusations, but his supporters say that his son is qualified for the position.
The death toll in the Moroccan earthquake is nearing 3,000. And as the country tries to deal with this devastation, geography is proving to be a factor in who is getting help. Here's Thomas I. Likeness with more.
The sun rises over Marrakesh 3 days after the quake rattled the country, flattening entire villages, leaving thousands of people homeless. But in the 72 hours since the quake struck, the capital city began to come back to life. In the city's historic Jama El Fana Square, Moroccans and tourists alike stroll the area. Moroccan celebrities have visited the city, photo ops of them donating blood. Distance from the epicenter and better built buildings resulted in less damage here. Yes, there's devastation in the city. People have died. But what you see here is in stark contrast to the remote areas of the country affected by the quake. In difficult-to-reach villages, no one is leisurely strolling the streets. People are angry. Help has been slow to arrive. Residents say they feel completely abandoned. One person says government officials came to count the number of victims in his village. He says since then, there's been no civil protection, no assistance. No one has come to help. People in these mountain villages say they're poor. They've lost everything and have nowhere to go. Part of the problem is that road access to these communities has been cut off because of rock slides. Even where help has been deployed, demand is great, but resources are thin. The military set up this hospital in one village. In the first morning alone, it saw 300 patients, with more waiting to be seen. Rescue efforts have wrapped up with little hope of finding any more survivors. It's now a recovery operation, with the death toll expected to rise. And for many mountain dwellers, all they can do is wait and hope that badly needed aid arrives soon. Thomas I. likeness from Atanang Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
On Monday, U.S. President Joe Biden called on Americans to unite despite bitter political differences. This as the country marked the 22nd anniversary of Al-Qaeda's 9/11 attacks. Names of nearly 3,000 people were read out in ceremonies in New York, Washington, and Pennsylvania. These were states where the hijacked plane struck. Speaking at a U.S. military base in Anchorage, Alaska, President Joe Biden appeals to Americans to unite as a nation.
Let that be the common cause of our time. Let us honor September 11th by renewing our faith in one another. Let us remember who we are as a nation. We never forget. We're never afraid. We endure. We overcome. We are the United States of America. And there is nothing, literally, historically, nothing has been beyond our capacity when we set our mind to it together. Turning from the G7.
Speaking in front of a huge flag, Biden says that terrorism, including political and ideological violence, is the opposite of everything the U.S. stands for. Up next, an American hiker was rescued after being stranded for 9 days. An escaped killer in Pennsylvania is still on the loose. And island states are turning to the UN for help. Please don't go away. We've got more stories from around the globe when Mata ng Agila International returns.
Na po, 11 a.m. Ito ang Pew Sina. Ay, sorry. Maling show. Ano pala? Lutong dasa pala to. Akala ko Pew City. Sorry. Sabado ha, 11 a.m. Lutong dasa. Akala ko, hindi ka na darating.
Nagagalit kasi ang tatay ko.
Bakit?
Gusto niya kasi sumama.
Sana honeymoon.
Boyfriend na kita?
Hindi ba enough na masaya tayong dalawa? Ayoko kasi ng may label. Pwede ko ba ako mag-apply?
Trabaho mong pakainin yung aso ko ng ham sa umaga, steak sa tanghali, at lapu-lapu sa gabi.
Bago na po isip ko, mag-apply lang ako ng aso.
Rainstorms battering southern China have killed at least 7 people and have resulted in dozens of crocodiles escaping from a farm. Nearby residents were advised to stay at home after more than 70 crocodiles escaped in Maoming City near western Guangdong province. An emergency official was quoted as saying that 69 adult crocodiles and 6 juveniles have escaped. Some have been captured, but the operation was difficult because of the depth of the lake they are in. Meanwhile, the rain caused flash floods in Hong Kong last week, killing 2 people. Parts of the city were flooded again following a heavy downpour on Monday. Authorities said that they would set up an emergency assistance fund to help those affected by the floods.
A scary weekend for residents in luxury condominiums in Vina del Mar, Chile. A second landslide has left another building teetering close to collapse. Ralph Cornell with the details.
Chilean local media reports that residents of a second building had to leave in a hurry last night. They loaded up their belongings into shopping carts. It is feared that the building will be declared uninhabitable. The property has 157 units, but only 52 are occupied. The rest are for sale. Heavy rain combined with poor drainage is believed to have triggered the landslide. Last month, another luxury condo complex had to be evacuated because of a sinkhole. Ralph Cornell, from Matanang Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
An international team of rescuers pulled U.S. explorer Mark Dickey to safety after he spent 9 days trapped deep in a Turkish cave. The 40-year-old explorer developed stomach problems while examining the depths of the Morka Cave, a remote and complex underground passageway in Turkey's Taurus Mountains. The cave is Turkey's third deepest, reaching nearly 1.3 kilometers below ground at its lowest point. Dickey fell at a depth of 3,695 feet, sparking what organizers said was one of the largest and most complicated underground rescue operations ever mounted. An international team of 200 rescuers, fellow explorers, and medics began to cautiously pull Dickey to safety after first giving him infusions of blood.
As you can see, I'm up, I'm alert, I'm talking, but I'm not healed on the inside yet, so I'm going to need a lot of help to get out of here. And this is often in the caving world a great opportunity to show just how well the international world can work together. The quick response of the Turkish government to get the medical supplies that I needed, in my opinion, saved my life. I was very close to the edge when Jessica got back to me. So many thanks to the Turkish government and the Turkish cavers that are helping to support the international community here.
This is the sort of news that we do not wish to hear. According to the United Nations, Colombia set a new record last year for cocaine production. Rosel Feria reports.
The country is already the world's biggest producer of the drug. Production rose from 1,400 tons in 2021 to more than 1,700 tons last year. Most of the cocaine is bound for the United States and Europe. The drug is made from coca leaves. About half of the drug crops are found in indigenous reserves, forest reserves, and natural parks. Coca leaf crops cover more than 230,000 hectares in Colombia. Both Colombia and Mexico blame the rise in production on America's so-called war on drugs. They say it has only benefited the cartels and fueled violence. They say the root causes of crime, such as poverty and unemployment, have not been addressed. Rosel Feria for Matanang Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Last month, U.S. officials took a victory lap to commemorate their response to the 2008 financial crisis. They say the $36 billion in fines is proof that banks have been held accountable. A U.S. judge says otherwise. EJ Gonzalez reports.
U.S. District Judge Jed Rakoff has criticized the Department of Justice for not criminally prosecuting senior bankers and says the $36 billion in fines amount to an easy cop-out. Rakoff says this fails to achieve justice and discourages future chicanery. He reflects on the government's enforcement record 15 years after the Lehman Brothers bankruptcy. He says it doesn't have a meaningful deterrent effect. Rakoff adds that consistently going soft on corporate criminals puts at risk the reputation that U.S. markets are among the most honest in the world and the most reliable. EJ Gonzalez for Matanang Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Police in the U.S. state of Pennsylvania say an escaped killer who remains at large has changed his appearance. But after 12 days, 34-year-old Danilo Cavalcante remains on the loose. Local law enforcement has advised residents in the area to always keep their doors and windows locked as the suspect is armed with a firearm. Myla Simbulan has the details.
Almost 2 weeks ago, Danilo Cavalcante crab-walked his way out of the Chester County Prison in Pennsylvania. Since then, he has eluded a dragnet manned by hundreds of law enforcement officers using helicopters, drones, and search dogs. The Brazilian national looks different now. He has shaved off his dark beard and mustache. This is what he looks like now. His image has been captured on doorbell cameras when he tried unsuccessfully to contact acquaintances. Cavalcante has been spotted in the town where he killed his girlfriend 2 years ago. Her relatives are under police protection. On the weekend, he stole a van from a dairy farm. The vehicle has since been abandoned. Police believe he is still in Pennsylvania but looking for help so he can remain at large. Myla Simbulan for Mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
In fried chicken-obsessed South Korea, restaurants serving the nation's favorite fast food dish is at every street corner. But Kang Ji-young's establishment brings something a little different to the table. Jeff Sanidad tells us more.
38-year-old entrepreneur Kang Ji-young saw an opportunity to improve the South Korean fried chicken business model and the dish itself. A robot at Kang's restaurant is cooking the chicken. Kang's robot is composed of a simple, flexible mechanical arm. It can fry 100 chickens in 2 hours. This is a task that would require around 5 people and several deep fryers. South Korea faces a looming demographic disaster due to having the world's lowest birth rate. A government survey last year reports around 54% of business owners in the food service sector report problems finding employees. Jeff Sanidad for Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Meanwhile, Iran holds its 22nd International Confectionery Fair at Tehran International Permanent Fairground, the biggest event on chocolates and sweets in the Middle East. RT's Youssef Jalali tells us more.
For those with a sweet tooth, this place is a utopia. The 22nd Iran Confectionery Exhibition is the biggest specialized event on chocolates and other sweets in Iran and the Middle East. The event has brought together 300 Iranian and foreign exhibitors to present their latest pastries and other products in the confectionery industry in 3 categories of foods, raw materials, and related machinery. From Turkish baklava to Iranian gas, a variety of sweet products including biscuits, chocolates, cookies, candies, and traditional sweets are on display here. The event introduces the latest trends, innovations, and technologies in the confectionery industry.
Our company started its activity back in 1979 by producing chocolate products. Today it has turned into a national brand. We export almost 15% of our products. Currently we have 14 export destinations, including Turkmenistan, Russia, Armenia, Azerbaijan, and Pakistan.
We come from Sochi. We came specifically to the exhibition, specifically the sweets exhibition, because this is our core area and we wanted to study the production and producers of Iran, since relations between our countries are developing very quickly now. So, we came here to see the level of production with our own eyes.
Iranians have a great taste of candies and chocolates. Every province and city is known for its own special traditional sweets, like Sohan from the city of Qom, Gas from Isfahan, and Masqati from Shiraz. There's this section of the exhibition that displays all of the sweet souvenirs from all parts of the country. Apart from its mouth-watering delights, the confectionery industry is among the country's most lucrative, and some experts say its potential has been underestimated. Last year, Iran effortlessly exported about $400 million worth of biscuits, chocolates, and candies to more than 60 countries. But this figure is insignificant compared with a global market size of about $180 billion of this industry. Now, exhibitors here say if the government helps remove the obstacles, Iran's annual exports from this industry could easily exceed the equivalent of $1.5 billion.
The most important solution is to facilitate the export process. We have problems in currency purchases and we need support in this area. Apart from that, if the relevant associations participate in international exhibitions and pave the way for Iranian companies, this will be helpful. Export management companies also can help, because they specialize in exports.
Iran is among the richest countries in sugar production, and this has played its part in the dynamics of the confectionery sector. But more than 70% of the raw material needed for the pastry is imported. That includes cocoa powder, vanilla, and chocolate, which Iran imports from countries such as Brazil, Turkey, and Spain. Experts say recently the purchase of those ingredients has faced difficulties caused by the Western sanctions, leading to a surge in consumer prices. for sweets in Iran.
When you're under sanctions, you face difficulties in money transfers and the supply of raw material. As a result, the raw materials that Iranian producers buy are more expensive than the standard global price. We need to try to find ways to facilitate access to raw materials for the producers to be able to easily buy them and import them to the country.
Well, part of the confectionery industry is about genuinely traditional pastries like Turkish baklava, Russian bolini, and Iranian sohan. A large part of it changes over time and grows with the latest technology. Organizers say this expo tries to promote and preserve traditional sweets while helping Iranian businesses stay in tune with the latest trends in the industry. Yusuf Jalali, RT, Tehran.
American scientists have discovered a mysterious dome-shaped object deep in the sea off the Alaskan coast. Spotted by a remotely operated survey vehicle, nobody knows for sure what it is. Angel Membreri tells us more.
Researchers spotted the strange object last month perched on a rock about 3,300 meters underwater in the Gulf of Alaska. It's about 10 centimeters in diameter and has a small tear near its base. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration says scientists are stumped as to what it is. Initial speculation ranged from a dead sponge attachment, coral, maybe even an egg casing. The agency has dubbed the specimen a gold orb and even a golden egg. Once news of the discovery hit social media, more outlandish theories abounded, including that of it being an alien egg. Scientists have since extracted the orb, but have not been able to identify it beyond that it is biological in origin. Researcher Sam Candio says they're trying to figure out if it is a known species, new species, or represents an unknown life stage of an existing one. The agency made the discovery during an expedition to explore deep water habitats. Angel Membreri for Matanang Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
The world is failing women and girls. This according to a United Nations report on gender equality released Thursday. Shen Kadusale has the details.
The United Nations warns that the world is abandoning women and girls. From the fight against poverty to education access, from political representation to economic opportunity. A report from UN Women reviewed the progress made on the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, or SDG. The SDG was adopted by the body's members in 2015. These goals are meant to create a better world for all by the year 2030. UN's Sarah Hendricks says the results of the review are not so bright.
And so simply put, we are very far from where we should be at the midpoint of the SDGs. And if we fail to take action, our trajectory appears very grim. If current trends continue, what you'll see in the report is that over 340 million women and girls will be trapped in extreme poverty by 2030.
The gender equality goals by the end of the decade include eliminating gender discrimination, violence against women, forced marriages and genital mutilation, to make domestic work more equal, to guarantee access to reproductive health care, and to ensure women's participation in political and economic life. The report warns, however, that halfway to 2030, the world is failing women and girls, with most of the goals' targets falling behind. Every year, 245 million women over age 15 are victims of physical violence by their partners. 1 in 5 women are married before age 18. Women spend 2.8 more hours per day doing unpaid housework than their male counterparts, and women represent only 26.7% of all lawmakers worldwide. To change these trends, the UN estimates it would cost some $360 billion in additional investments per year in 50 developing countries. These countries represent some 70% of the world's population. Hendricks says that money would enable the lifting of the entire SDG agenda. Shen Kadusali from Matanang Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Leaders of 9 small island states turned to the UN Maritime Court on Monday. They are seeking protection of the world's oceans from catastrophic climate change that threatens the very existence of entire countries. Mark Castillo tells us more.
The island states are asking the International Tribunal for the Law of the Sea to determine if carbon dioxide emissions absorbed by the oceans can be considered pollution. And if it is, what obligations do countries have to prevent it? Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, Gaston Brown, says this is Chapter 1 in the struggle to change the conduct of the international community by clarifying the obligation of states to protect the marine environment.
We're literally on the front lines as small states, and we have to fight, I would say, stridently to get the large polluters to act to reduce emissions. And that is our primary objective, to get them to reduce emissions.
Joint counsel representing the islands, Catherine Amirfar, says the point was to force countries to implement substantive measures against climate change. Ocean ecosystems create half the oxygen humans breathe. They limit global warming by absorbing much of the carbon dioxide emitted by human activities. But increasing emissions can warm and acidify seawaters. This harms marine life. At the heart of the case is the international treaty, UNCLOS. This treaty binds countries to prevent pollution of the oceans. The UN treaty defines pollution as the introduction by humans of substances or energy into the marine environment that harms marine life. It does not, however, spell out carbon emissions as a specific pollutant. The plaintiffs argue that these emissions should qualify. Mark Castillo from Matanang Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Coming right up, what's next for Apple's newest iPhone? Luis Rubiales steps down as the director of Spain's football program. And find out who's in Gilas Pilipinas Asian Games roster. Catch the latest in business, sports, tech, and entertainment. Matanang Agila International will be back.
In the mood for food with Ara and Whitney.
Russia forecasts to sell its pipeline natural gas to China at almost half of the original price by 2026. Next year, China will get Russia's oil by an average of $271.1 per 1,000 cubic meters. Russia sells its oil at approximately $56.6 per barrel as of June due to Western sanctions. Analysts say this is twice as cheap compared with customers in Europe and Turkey with $481.7. Russian gas giant Gazprom previously inked a $400 billion contract to supply natural gas to China National Petroleum Corporation via Siberia pipeline. Apple is set to unveil the iPhone 15. On Tuesday's Apple's annual September keynote event, Apple is expected to debut its iPhone 15 lineup. Stephanie Mayo has the data.
Apple is set to unveil the iPhone 15 Tuesday at the annual September keynote event, which will take place at the company's headquarters in Cupertino, California. The press event, with its tagline Wonderlust, will be live streamed on its website starting at 10 a.m. local time. It is expected that Apple will introduce the biggest change to the phone's design for the first time in 11 years, which is the USB-C charging to its smartphones. Another anticipated launch is iPhone 15's Dynamic Island feature, which is an interactive hub for various controls that replaces the notch on top of the screen. Other expected features are the rear-facing periscope lens, which allows for more optical zoom, as well as titanium casing to make the iPhone lighter and slimmer. The Pro models are also expected to boast Apple's latest A17 chip, which could boost processing and produce longer-lasting battery. And as hinted at in the Apple logo featured in the event's invitation, the new iPhone 15 lineup might include new colors such as navy and new shades of gray, white, and silver. Stephanie Mayo for Mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Spanish Football Federation President Luis Rubiales has resigned following fierce criticism for kissing Spain's national team player Jenny Hermoso on the lips at the Women's World Cup victory ceremony. The already suspended Rubiales sent his resignation to the federation's interim president and also explained his decision to eventually step down as vice president of European football governing body UEFA. Rubiales sparked worldwide backlash after forcibly kissing midfielder Hermoso during the medal ceremony, following Spain's World Cup triumph in Sydney on August 20. After he refused to resign, FIFA provisionally suspended him for 90 days, while Spanish public prosecutors had filed a lawsuit against him for alleged sexual assault and coercion. Rubiales, who insists the kiss was consensual, said he did not want Spanish football to be hurt by such a disappropriation campaign against him. He added that his departure would contribute stability to the 2030 Men's World Cup bid, in which Spain is involved. Interim coach Tim Cohn has put together a 12-man lineup for Agila's Pilipinas campaign in the 19th Asian Games in China. Filled with surprise choices, Magnolia's Calvin Abueva and San Miguel Guard Terrence Romeo lead the new faces and returnees in Agila's lineup. Joining them are World Cup veterans Junmar Fajardo, Japeth Aguilar, R.R. Pugoy, Scotty Thompson, with naturalized players Justin Brownlee and Ange Kwame. Chris Newsom and Calvin Oftana were also in the pool, with new additions Jason Perkins and Mo Tautua. Cohn also added Ginebra guard Stanley Pringle as the team's 13th man. Coach Tim, however, is still waiting for the decision from the organizing committee, although the ruling may come out by the weekend, which will be in time before the Nationals begin their closed-door training on September 16. Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis have publicly apologized for letters in support of Danny Masterson's sexual assault trial case.
We are aware of the pain that has been caused by the character letters that we wrote on behalf of Danny Masterson.
We support victims. We have done this historically through our work and will continue to do so in the future.
Kutcher explained that the family of Masterson had reached out to them, in which they had to write character letters representing Masterson as their co-worker for 25 years. Kunis also added that the letters were not written to question the validity of the jury's ruling or judicial system.
They were intended for the judge to read, and not to undermine the testimony of the victims or re-traumatize them in any way. We would never want to do that. And we're sorry if that has taken place.
After they posted the video, one of the victims of Masterson's sexual assault criticized it as absurdly insulting and hurtful. She expressed her disappointment to the couple, especially towards Ashton, who claims to stand with victims of sex crimes. Meanwhile, more than 50 people, aside from Kutcher and Kunis, wrote to support the convicted actor ahead of his sentence. This includes stars from That 70s Show's Deborah Jo Rupp and Kurtwood Smith. Masterson was sentenced a maximum of 30 years to lifetime imprisonment in downtown Los Angeles and will be eligible for parole when he turns 77 years old.
In California, foodies converge on the popular 626 night market in Arcadia, all eager to immerse their palates and more in a savory and sensory-rich experience. Here are Alan and Eva Basayahe.
As unbelievable as it sounds, summer in Southern California is winding down.
And as residents try to squeeze in a few more waves, or hit the trail one last time, the 626 Night Market in Arcadia, California gives these outdoor adventurers the opportunity to refuel on tantalizing street food,
as well as enjoy a vibrant atmosphere, artisanal crafts, and live performances.
Obviously 626 is kind of like focused on Asian food, but there's a bunch of different kind of food. It's just a nice place to be around a lot of people and a lot of variety.
Whether you're looking at just like all the indie shops, the small shops, if you're looking at all the different food, if you even want to just play the games that are around here, there's something for everyone, for all families.
We sell noodle bowls. The noodle bowls are sesame and soy based, so they are pretty delicious. They are also the healthiest instant noodles you could ever buy. You'll feel refreshed. It's super light. The sauce is super tasty. Not a lot of all the bad ingredients that other instant noodle brands use.
The mango sticky rice is always one of our more popular items. We also have different boba drinks that are very popular. We have a noodle dish, pakimao, which is very popular, and the crispy fried rice. My wife and our friends just enjoy representing their culture to all who are interested.
Sunny Cafe stands out from the rest because we make our drinks with all natural fruit, no added syrup or powder, which is really rare because you see like a lot of booths, they don't make it like that. It's just syrup in their booths, so we make everything fresh.
Since we do Japanese sandwiches, we do different types of flavors and proteins with them, so it's familiar yet foreign at the same time. Our best seller is our spicy truffle chicken katsu sando, our strawberry cream sando. It eats just like a cake. I live by the 3S, your family, your food, and your friends, and this is what the food fairs cover. So every time I see a customer come, watch us, and support us, and mostly our food is made from love. The buzz itself is just, organic. It's just friendly people, smiles, and all walks of life.
The 626 Night Market has always stood out for its support of local businesses, cultural richness, and of course, culinary diversity.
But more than just a place for great food, this organization aims to foster community connections and to celebrate the vibrant tapestry of cultures that make Southern California unique.
Reporting from Arcadia, California, Eva and Allen for Matanang Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Why are we often subject to this level of torture this late at night?
I know, I'm hungry again.
Me too. Anyway, to send you off today, here's a quote from American speaker Earl Nightingale. Never give up on a dream just because of the time it will take to accomplish it. The time will pass anyway.
I think this stands as a testament to people who achieve their dreams a little later in life. It's a reminder that we all have our different timelines. We just got to be patient.
And it's okay to wait. It's been said, good things come to those who wait.
Yes. And that's a wrap for tonight's news. Catch the latest updates on our social media channels. I am Gian Llanes.
I am Nina Richie Alagao-Flores. This is Matanang Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.